Hey y'all, welcome back to our weekly video series. I'm Peyton and I'm joined by Corey and Yaila. And today we are doing part 2 in our 3-part series on how to open your third eye. So in our first video last week, we talked a little bit about what it means to open your third eye. And today we're going to be talking about some of the myths and misunderstandings that people have when they start to open their intuitive abilities and open their third eye. Make sure you stay tuned for our final video where we will be talking about how to open your third eye. So today, let's start with you, Corey. What are some of the myths, some of the misunderstandings that you see people having around this whole idea of opening up the third eye?
Well, I'm really enjoying this series, and I'm glad we're on myths today. And so, one of the myths about opening up your third eye is that once you open up your third eye, you will be all knowing, all seeing, all being. It's like when we were talking about Raiders of the Lost, I was talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark, where that beam of light just comes in, and some of it, they were being destroyed, but some, like, that beam of light comes in, and it's like, "Ah." That's a myth about opening up your third eye. That's number one. Number two, opening up your third eye is instantaneous. Like, you open up your third eye and there it is. No. Myth number three. Everybody opens up their third eye the same way. False. So what do I mean by these things? Opening up your third eye, we all do it differently. There's no one way to do it. There is, some people do it with Kundalini yoga. Some people do it with clairvoyant classes. Some people do it by meditating. But there's no one way to do it. And not everybody, when they open up their third eye, does it happen instantaneously. It's a gradual process. So, I'll never forget the first time I saw my first dead person. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh, I was so excited. And I too had that feeling of like, okay, I've arrived. Like, my third eye is open. I've arrived. Not. It was exciting. And it was the beginning of a journey that when opening up your third eye, you don't arrive anywhere. It's the beginning of the journey. And it's a slow process. There are some myths about, like, Kundalini yoga, like that feeling of absolute bliss when you open up your third eye, that you just get into this absolute blissful state. And that doesn't happen with everybody. Some people it does. There are times in daily life or meditation where, for me, I feel blissed out. And then there are times where I don't, but I know that my third eye is open. So the myths of it happens right away, everybody's third eye opens the same way, and the feeling of what happens when you open your third eye, those myths are the three that I've got. What have you got, Yaila?
Love those, Corey. You always crack me up. I feel like there's so many myths about opening up your third eye. I know when I was first on my own journey, connecting to, I just remember back in the day, I was taking some different meditation classes, and I just had this idea that I want to be able to read auras too. And at that time, I thought people were born special. Either you had these gifts or you didn't. And I thought that I wasn't one of those people. So that to me would be a myth. Like it's for some people and not for others. Or you have this crazy life or death experience or crazy traumatic experience, and all of a sudden now you're privy or you're open to this ability. So I thought you either were born special or you had some traumatic life experience that caused you to go into a completely different state to open up your third eye. So those were really strong beliefs that I had in the beginning that I learned are actually myths about opening up your third eye. Another one, very similar to what Corey was saying, we kind of have this idea of how it happens. So I know I was on YouTube all the time researching, hertz frequencies and all these different videos to hear these different sounds that's hopefully going to vibrate my third eye to be open. And maybe that works for some people, but that turned out to be a myth for me too, because I realized I had to actually connect to other chakras in my body and not just the third eye, not just opening up that space. For other people, they think the only way they can open up their third eye is through substances like ayahuasca or other plant medicines or those other psychedelic type drugs that connect you to that space. Have people open up their third eye with that route? Sure. But a myth is that that's the only way. Some outside thing is going to help you open up your third eye. Another myth is that your third eye is more open or less open than somebody else's. I feel like that's a really big myth. And there's kind of that comparison game that happens with people when we talk about having an open third eye and what that experience is like. So, opening up your third eye is very, just like everything else, your energy journey is so unique and so personal to you. And connecting with, Corey mentioned that Kundalini energy, that Kundalini awakening, where a lot of people think that's opening up their third eye too. And sometimes they do go hand in hand, where you're learning to channel that energy from the base of your spine up and out your crown. And now you have these different visions and insights and things like that. And for some people, opening up their third eye was this crazy traumatic experience in and of itself, when they, instantaneously opened up their Kundalini and now their third eye is open. That is some people's experience. And I know I was very scared in the beginning of, even though I was drawn to it, I thought opening up your third eye might be scary because all of a sudden you're going to get rushed with all of these visions and insights and reading everything. And there was some energies out there I just wasn't interested in seeing, things when people talk about ghosts and people who crossed over and, communicating with, dead people or, darker, heavier energies, that stuff would freak me out. And I'm like, I do not want to see that, so that was also a myth. The myth that I found for that is, it's going to be scary and I'm not going to be able to control it. I have to rely on some outside thing, or it's going to look a certain way, or it's only meant for certain people. So those are some of the stronger myths that I found were not true from my own personal experience and what I see for my students and clients that I work with for the last, decade now on their journey for opening up their third eye. But how about you, Peyton? What do you have for opening up the third eye? What myths?
This is such a great topic because I think I made all these mistakes in one place when I first started. So I think it's great that we are helping people understand a little bit more what the process actually looks like. Because, and like Corey said, it's very easy to have this movie's version of it in your head, and the reality is a lot different. And so one thing that I definitely second that you both pointed out is, in my experience, opening your third eye is not a one and done deal. It is not something that it pops open one day and you are good to go forever. And I really thought it was going to be like that because two of my very earliest intuitive teachers were extremely old school psychic mediums who had both had near-death experiences. So their perspectives on opening your third eye were very sudden, very dramatic. And so I was comparing my progress to the stories they told, and I thought it was going to be the same for me. And so that's one of the most important things I have seen in all of my clients too, is that this tends to be a gentle, gradual process. So that's important to know, because you're not expecting this to be this. One thing that my teacher used to tell me is, she's like, Peyton, you're expecting it to be the voice of God in your head. This, flaming bush, this dramatic, unveiling of the mysteries of the universe. And she's like, it's not really like that. And so knowing that it takes a little time to do this, you have time to learn some tools and ease your way into it, can help you not get frustrated and discouraged the way I did at the beginning, because it wasn't happening overnight. And I just thought it was one of those, boom, now you're awake kind of things. So that to me is probably the biggest myth out there. Something else that I kind of ran into was, I had the impression when I was starting to open my third eye that it meant I would suddenly be seeing visions all the time. Like I would suddenly see through walls, walk on water, miracles would be, following me around. And I expected it to really be this dramatic, life-changing, immediate event, instead of an opening over time to your inherent intuitive abilities. So for some of you, you may not see, like we talk a lot about visions and being clairvoyant, but when you open your third eye, you're opening your unique intuitive gifts. And you may not be a visual person. I am not a particularly visual clairvoyant person. I have learned how to do that. But for me, opening my third eye was learning to tune in to my telepathy, to my clairaudience, my ability to hear spirit. So it's going to be opening you to however your unique gifts work. So don't think that you're failing if you are not having visions and seeing dead people and all of these kind of descriptions that we may hear from people who are very clairvoyantly oriented. Not everyone is a big seer. Some people hear, some people feel, some people read emotion. So when you open up, it's going to be to how your unique divine gifts work. And everyone is different. And so knowing that you're not going to be, and I share what you said, Yaila, I was a little scared to open my third eye because I did not want to be seeing dead people. I did not want people's dead grandmas following me home, like some of my teachers talked about, having dead people follow them home. I wanted nothing to do with that, but I still wanted to open up my gifts. So opening your gifts, your guides are going to help you so that this happens in a gentle way that doesn't scare you. And you have time to kind of learn the way it works for you. So expecting it to be a more gentle process, that it's not something that you open it and you're going to see ghosts everywhere. It doesn't work like that for most people. That's a very rare, in my experience, way to experience the opening of the third eye. So if fear is something that is coming up for you, know that's very normal, and you're not going to have someone's dead grandma following you home. And let's see, what else comes up to me as myths? The other thing that I think I would mention is some people seem to have an understanding that you're only working with a single chakra, that you pop open your third eye, you see everything you need to know, and you're done after watching a couple YouTube videos. But in reality, when we talk about opening our third eye, we're talking about opening our spiritual gifts as a whole, which involves all of our chakras. It involves doing healing work. It is a whole process. It's not just a matter of popping open that one chakra. So I think those are some of the things that I know I stumbled into when I was first starting this, and some things that can just help you understand how it might unfold for you. So I don't know, girls, does anything else kind of jump out at you, mistakes that you made when you were first starting out on this process?
Yeah, one huge thing that I really see along people's journey, especially if they're taking a type of class to help them open up these gifts, is they're expecting it to be really strong, really loud, really vibrant, like hit you over the head type of energy. And the truth is, as your third eye and your clear senses start to open, it's not always super strong. Energy in the beginning feels very subtle, looks very subtle. It's a quick flash. It's a quick thing that you hear. It's a quick thing that pops in. It's a quick feeling. So energy in the beginning is very, very subtle, and it's very easy to jump back and forth between our intuitive side of the brain back to our logic side of the brain. And so I think that's a huge myth too, is it's, we're used to a world where we are bombarded very strongly, where, all the answers or what they really want you to tap into is really loud and really clear. And when it comes to energy, energy is way more subtle. So that's another myth. Another thing that was popping into when you were just talking, Peyton, is there's I think a lot of energy around, at least for me in the clairvoyant program, it's you're kind of learning a new language. And so I had some expectations beyond just what it would look like, but using your intuition is also the same place where your imagination resides. It's the same place in your mind's eye. So if you were to imagine like a bright yellow lemon that you pick up from the grocery store, and you're imagining you bring it home and you cut that open on your counter, however you're seeing that right now, if you could ask yourself to imagine that, that's a similar place where your clear seeing, your clairvoyance is going to be. Now, you might just get that as a quick little flash, or you might have a feeling, you might have a memory of it. Your taste buds might start to activate as a feeling sense. So there's different ways that you are interpreting the energy around you. So just like, the ladies were sharing, you're bringing in not just one clair sense, you're bringing in all these other senses at the same time. And sometimes it's stronger than others. Just like an athlete who practices every day, or if you've ever taken yoga, I know I've gone to yoga classes where, one day I'm on point, I can get to certain places with my body and it's great. And then there's other times where I am just on the struggle bus and I can't get there, and I've been there before. So it's kind of like that with your third eye. Some days you might be stronger than others. Sometimes you just get a clear input of information, and other times you don't. And there's many reasons why that happens, as far as like where we're at in our own space, what matching energy we might have with the people or surroundings that we're interacting with. So some myths too is, you're 24/7 going to be able to read and predict the future. I know that's a big one for a lot of people that I meet. They assume that I can predict everything to a T that's going to happen just because my third eye is open. And the truth is, energy is always changing. You can get perceptions, you can get possibilities, but just because your third eye is open doesn't mean you're going to be, Edgar Casey or Nostradamus and predicting the future hundreds of years out into the future. So there's definitely some myths as far as like, well, your third eye is not really open because you didn't know what I ate for breakfast this morning. It's like, no, like I just, my third eye is open, but there's sometimes like where you're at in your time and your space, there's just other things in your space that you're focused on. So can you get to a place where you are that 24/7 psychic? Sure. Is it going to be like that every single day, every single week, every single month? Probably not, especially if you're not doing the tools on a regular basis. There's a lot of factors at play.
Another myth is being a 24-hour psychic, that once your third eye opens, you'll want to be a 24-hour psychic. That's a myth, that you'll be able to see everything all the time. And that is a myth. You really don't want to be a psychic 24/7. I mean, I know for me, I'll speak for myself, but I thought, oh yeah, I'll be able to see everything all the time, 24/7. And that is not what happened. And the times that it did, I was exhausted the next day because your body never rests. When you open up your third eye, one of the most important things is to learn how to turn it on and how to turn it off. Because having it, you ladies were talking about having dead people follow you. Some people have their third eye open all the time, and they need to learn how to shut it down instead of open it. So there isn't just opening up that third eye. Some people, yes, already have their third eye open, And they do have dead people following them home. And they need to learn how to shut it down so that they don't have to read that energy 24/7. So it's a great concept. And it does sound exciting, but it is tiring when your third eye is opened 24/7. So that's why classes are so important, and to learn about energy.
That's a great point, Corey. And I think that's something too that helps people when they're first starting out, is that it takes your body time to learn how to process the energy that's coming in. And I know we've talked in several of our videos about how our spiritual body and our desire can move much faster than our body can actually process energy. And so, especially as we are all struggling so much just with the planetary energies, with the Schumann resonance, the solar flares, we're feeling that in our physical body. Opening our third eye is no different. We're starting to bring in and tune into frequencies that our body is not used to. And your body can only go so fast when it's doing that. Or, like Corey said, you will be completely gassed. And I have brought in too much energy many times and knocked myself out. So it is definitely something that, and what I find a lot of times with my clients, their guides will pace them. So your guides will help you so that you're not bringing in too much energy too quickly. Because again, your body and your mind have to learn how to translate this. It's a whole new operating system. And it just takes some time to figure that out. So the more you just give yourself a break, the gentler the process will be. So just knowing that it's something gradual and that it will unfold in a way that may look completely different for you than it does for anyone else can help you have a lot more fun with this process. I know, I think me and Corey, I think definitely did this. I'm not sure about Yaila, really put a lot of pressure on ourselves to go super fast, to do it, full speed, and you can knock yourself out that way. So your team will find a way to help you pace yourself so that you don't bring in too much energy before you're ready to handle it. So like anything else, like going to the gym, you got to work up to it. You don't run the marathon on the first day. Opening your third eye is no different, because even if you are to do that, it's probably not going to be a great experience. So gentle is better in this regard, in my opinion. So
yeah, sensory overload is a real thing for sure. You can definitely, and now I'm similar to you, Corey, where especially when I'm in a big group of people, I am not trying to tap into everybody and read everybody. That is just way too much. I am more interested in keeping them out of my space so I can stay as clear as possible when I really need it. Sensory overload is a real thing.
most definitely. Well, anything else you guys can think of that mistakes people might make, misunderstandings? I think we've covered a lot of the more common ones.
I think, we have a previous video that we made called effort versus flow. And it's a great concept to think of when opening up your third eye, because sometimes that push energy, like you're trying too hard, you're sometimes more in that logic side than the intuitive side. So when you just kind of let it flow and trust, you're already receiving through your different senses what's coming in, and it's learning how you interpret it in a more relaxed way, you'll actually move a lot faster than trying to push it along the way too. So I know when I was taking these classes, I was just trying to take as many classes and do as many things and like go, push. And was I finally settled and just kind of focused on the one clairvoyant program, then the next one, I really went a lot faster than I did in the beginning.
Absolutely.
So that's a myth too. More is better. No, that's a myth.
But it's so hard to let it go. I mean, all my teachers told me that, and I'm like, no, I want to go faster, more. I was the same way. And, we can't help it. We get excited when we start doing this. And so I never fault anyone who gets too excited, but I've been there. And it's true. You bring in too much energy, you can't translate it because your body's like, what? It doesn't know what to do with it. So sometimes having some chill, which I personally do not possess, I admire people who do, can actually really help you. Because again, you're not in effort, And that was something that definitely was one of the traps I fell into, was that lawyer side of me was like, if I force it, if I go harder, it's better. And the opposite is true in energy work. You cannot force energy work. It's literally a different part of your operating system. So yeah, chill is good. Wish I had some. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into our videos. We really appreciate you. And we're so grateful for your likes, your shares, your comments, and your follows. Make sure you stay tuned for the final installment of our Third Eye series next week, where we will be talking about how to actually do it. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And as always, all of our links, our contact information, down at the bottom of the screen. You know where to find it. We'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.